Just tell them you fell down the stairs. My mother's voice was a whisper, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my arm as I lay motionless in the hospital bed. Marcus is about to start medical school. We can't let this incident ruin his future. I was 24. And this wasn't the first time my mother had asked me to lie. But it was the worst. The pain in my back was sharper than anything I'd ever felt, even worse than Marcus's past outbursts. My name is Emma Sullivan, and I spent my whole life walking on eggshells around my older brother. Marcus was the golden child, brilliant, charming, and destined to become a doctor. But he was also dangerous, with a temper that could detonate without warning. This time it exploded because I told him no. He'd demanded my savings for his medical school applications. When I refused, he slammed me into our parents' granite kitchen counter. I heard something crack in my spine. "Mrs. Sullivan." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "The doctor would like to speak with you about your daughter's x-rays." My mother stood tall, smoothing her designer blouse. "Of course, Emma knows what to say. Don't you, sweetheart?" I nodded weakly. She followed the nurse out. From the corner of the room, Marcus finally spoke. "You better keep your mouth shut, little sister," he said, his voice low and threatening. "No one will believe you. I'm the one going to med school, remember? They'll trust me." And he was probably right. Marcus had always known how to lie convincingly. When I was 8, he convinced our parents I broke my arm climbing a tree. He had pushed me. When I was 16, they believed him when he said I fell off my bike. He had twisted my wrist until I gave him my birthday money. Dr. Evans entered the room, flipping through my chart. "The X-rays show significant trauma to your lower spine," she said, concern written on her face. "These injuries don't match a simple fall down the stairs." I could feel Marcus's glare burning into me. "I'm just clumsy," I mumbled. The lie tasted bitter in my mouth. Dr. Evans frowned, but before she could say more, my mother returned. "When can we take her home?" she asked with her perfect smile. "Emma's always been accident-prone, haven't you, dear?" "Actually," Dr. Evans said firmly, "given the severity of the damage, I'm recommending immediate admission and a consult with our spine specialist. We'll also begin physical therapy." My mother's smile wavered. "Surely that's not necessary. We have a private doctor." "This isn't negotiable," Dr. Evans interrupted. "Your daughter has suffered significant trauma. She needs professional care." That evening, once they all left, a young woman stepped into my room. "Hi, I'm Kate Morrison, your physical therapist," she said, her tone warm but professional. "Let's see what we're dealing with." She helped me sit up gently. "Pain scale 1 to 10. 8. I admitted through clenched teeth. She nodded, jotting down notes. "I'll need to review your past medical records." Dr. Evans mentioned patterns, old injuries that never healed properly. Panic surged in my chest. I'm just clumsy." Kate paused, then looked me in the eyes. Calm but serious. "Emma, I've worked with a lot of patients. I can tell the difference between accident-related injuries and something else." Something in her voice made me want to tell the truth. But Marcus's threat echoed in my head, tangled with years of my mother's warnings. "Never talk about family matters." "I can't," I whispered, eyes stinging. "You can't, or you're afraid to?" she asked gently. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a message from my mother. "Not a word about Marcus. We're telling everyone you fell. Don't disappoint the family." Kate saw the message before I could turn the screen away. Her expression hardened with quiet resolve. "Emma," she said, pulling up a chair beside me. "I want to show you something." She opened her tablet and pulled up my scans. "These are from today. But look here, these shadows on your spine. These are old fractures. Multiple injuries. None of them healed correctly." I said nothing. My heart pounded. "I can help you," Kate said softly. "But only if you're willing to tell me the truth. Whatever you're afraid of, you're not alone. People will believe you." For the first time in my life, someone was offering me a way out. But could I trust her? As if she sensed my hesitation, Kate added, "You don't have to decide now. But as your therapist, I'm mandated to report suspected abuse. These injuries tell a story, Emma. The only question is, are you ready to tell yours?" I stared down at my phone, my mother's text still glowing on the screen. 24 years of silence weighed against one terrifying chance at freedom. My voice trembled. "I think I'm ready to talk." Kate kept her promise. The next morning, she returned with Dr. Evans and a social worker named Anna, and I told them everything. I spoke about growing up with Marcus's violent moods, the bruises and broken bones, the excuses my parents fed to doctors, how they'd always protected him, because they believed his future mattered more than my safety. The broken fingers when I was 12. He'd caught me on his laptop. The cracked ribs at 16, because I embarrassed him in front of friends. Years of secrets, years of pain. But now, I wasn't hiding anymore. And now I had a damaged spine. "Your brother's applying to medical school?" Diana, the social worker, asked as she jotted notes. "And your parents are covering this up, to protect his future?" I nodded, nervously twisting the hospital blanket in my hands. "They already paid for his applications. Mom says he's destined to be a brilliant doctor." Kate's voice cut in low and tense. "A doctor who breaks his sister's bones." I looked down. "Emma, you know we can't let this continue," she said. Just then my phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. "Marcus is coming to visit this afternoon. Remember our discussion?" Kate saw the color drain from my face. "He's not coming anywhere near you," she said firmly. "Not anymore." Within hours, hospital security had been alerted. A restraining order was underway, and my room was moved to a secure wing. For the first time in my life, someone was protecting me, not him. But my mother wasn't finished. She showed up that afternoon, somehow slipping past staff. Her face was tight with fury. "What do you think you're doing?" she hissed. "Do you want to destroy this family?" Marcus called me crying. "They won't even let him see his own sister." "Mrs. Sullivan." Kate's voice cut clean through the air. "You're not supposed to be here." "I'm her mother," she snapped. "You have no right to keep me away from my daughter." "Actually we do," Kate said, calm but firm. "Emma has reported a history of domestic abuse. And as her provider, I'm obligated to ensure her safety." My mother went pale. "Abuse?" she scoffed. "That's ridiculous. Emma's just attention-seeking. She's always been jealous of Marcus's success." "We have X-rays spanning years," Kate replied, unmoved. "Multiple fractures consistent with physical assault. Emma is telling the truth now, and there's no going back." "The truth?" My mother laughed bitterly. "She's trying to ruin Marcus's life. He has a future. He's going to help people." "Help people?" I found my voice, stronger than I expected. "Like he helped me. By breaking my bones. By making me live in fear." "Emma," my mother warned, but I wasn't backing down. "No, Mum. I'm done. I'm done protecting him. And I won't let you silence me anymore." Moments later, security escorted her out, still shouting that I was tearing the family apart. When she was gone, I began to shake. The reality of what I had done, what I had finally stood up to, hit me. Kate sat beside my bed. Teddy. "You did the right thing, Emma," she said gently. "It won't be easy. But you're not alone anymore." She was right, it wasn't easy. In the days that followed, my father called constantly, switching between threats and desperate pleas. Marcus sent messages from new numbers, each one more aggressive than the last. But the hospital stood firm. Kate and the staff screened every call and every visitor. And in that locked, sterile room, I began to heal. My physical therapy sessions became a place of peace. Kate was there every day, helping me stretch, strengthen, stand. She gave me more than recovery. She gave me space to speak. "Your spine is healing," she said during one session. "But we need to talk about emotional healing too. Have you considered pressing charges?" I had. Diana, the social worker, had explained my legal options. With years of medical records and my testimony, we had a solid case. But the idea of facing Marcus in court terrified me. "He always charms everyone," I said. "He'll get away with it." "Not this time," Kate said. "You have evidence, witnesses. Most importantly, you have your voice. And we're all listening." As if to prove it, she handed me a letter. It was from the medical school Marcus had applied to. They were rescinding his acceptance, pending an investigation. Apparently, other reports of violence had surfaced now that people felt safe to speak. "Your brother's actions have consequences," Kate said softly. "And so do your parents' choices to protect him. You don't have to protect them anymore." I stared at her. This woman who was supposed to just fix my spine had helped rebuild my life. "I want to press charges," I said at last. "Not just for me. For anyone else he might hurt if I stay silent." Kate smiled and took my hand. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Together." 6 months later, I sat in a courthouse, Kate beside me, waiting. The journey here had been grueling. Interviews, court prep, hours of therapy. My spine was still healing. I'd lived with pain for a long time. But my spirit, it was stronger than it had ever been. Across the aisle sat Marcus, flanked by our parents. He wore a look of calm concern, carefully practiced. He tried to portray himself as a loving brother who had made some mistakes. But the evidence told another story. X-rays, hospital records, expert testimony, my voice. And I wasn't alone anymore. After I spoke out, others had come forward. 3 of Marcus's ex-girlfriends reported physical abuse. A former classmate said Marcus had accidentally pushed him down a staircase. Every incident had been buried by money and manipulation, just like mine. "All rise," the bailiff called as the judge entered. Kate squeezed my hand. She had never left my side. Through every appointment, every memory I was brave enough to share, every nightmare I worked to unlearn. The prosecution presented a devastating case. X-rays flashed on the courtroom screen. Doctors explained the trauma. Testified. My voice trembled, but it did not break. Then came the moment no one expected. Mrs. Porter, our childhood nanny, the one who left without warning when I was 13, took the stand. "I tried to report it back then," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I saw what Marcus did to Emma. But their parents, they made me leave." Her words cracked open the silence even more. And that day in court, for the first time in years, I felt something I hadn't known I was missing. "Oh, I saw Marcus hurt Emma countless times," Mrs. Porter said, her voice trembling with emotion. "But Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan threatened to ruin my career if I ever spoke up. They said no one would believe me over their son." The courtroom fell silent. My mother's perfect composure cracked. My father stared at his hands. Marcus's face twisted into the rage I knew too well. The verdict didn't take long. Marcus was found guilty on multiple counts of assault and battery. The judge's voice rang clearly. 5 years in prison with mandatory counseling. And in a final blow to the life he thought he deserved, a permanent recommendation to ban him from practicing medicine. My parents sat frozen, watching as their golden child was led away in handcuffs. The illusion they had built, the lies they clung to, had finally collapsed. But my story didn't end in that courtroom. Kate helped me understand that healing wasn't just about recovering physically. It meant reclaiming my life. With her encouragement, I began volunteering at a local domestic violence support group, sharing my story with others still trapped in silence. "You're an inspiration," Kate told me after an especially emotional group session. I smiled, remembering that terrified girl in the hospital bed. "I had a good teacher." "You did all the hard work," she insisted. "I just opened the door. You were the one who walked through it." A year after the trial, I stood in front of a classroom filled with physical therapy students. Kate had invited me to speak about patient advocacy and how to recognize signs of abuse hiding behind the word accident. "Sometimes," I told them, The most important part of healing isn't physical therapy. It's having just one person believe you, when the whole world tells you to stay quiet. One person who refuses to look away can change everything. I saw Kate in the audience, her eyes steady, kind. She had been that one person for me. Someone who saw past the lies, past the bruises hidden under long sleeves, past the mask my family wore so well. She reminded me that I deserved better. My parents tried contacting me after the trial. My mother left tearful voicemails begging for forgiveness. My father sent letters promising things would be different. But Kate helped me understand something that changed everything. I didn't owe them forgiveness. And I didn't have to invite toxicity back into my life. Healing doesn't mean letting people who hurt you back in, Kate had said. Sometimes it means choosing yourself. So I did. I went back to school to become a counselor. I moved into a quiet apartment, adopted a cat, and slowly built a life that was mine. Safe, honest, and free. The nightmares came less often. The pain in my spine became manageable. The guilt faded. Now, 3 years after that hospital admission, I work with survivors of domestic violence, helping them find their voices the way I found mine. Kate and I still keep in touch, sometimes even working side by side when one of her patients needs emotional support. Marcus writes occasionally from prison, claiming he's changed. My parents still try to guilt me into speaking with them. I don't respond. Instead, I focus on the family I've chosen, people like Kate who believe in truth and healing, and the community of survivors I support every day. Last week, I received a card from Mrs. Porter, our former nanny. Inside was a photo of me at 12, sitting on our old porch swing. On the back she had written, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you then, but I'm so proud of how you've learned to protect yourself." I pinned it on the wall next to my counseling certificate and thank you notes from clients. It reminds me every day. We can't change the past, but we can fight for a better future. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who's brave enough to say, "Enough."